And we begin tonight at 6 with new details on plans to help Hoosiers seeking food assistance here in Marion County. About 2 hours ago, Indianapolis Mayor Joe Hogsett announced plans to make emergency funding and additional resources available.
This all comes just days before more than 500,000 residents here in Indiana are expected to lose access to SNAP benefits, also known as food stamps. So this deal is now in partnership with United Way of Central Indiana.
It's important for a variety of reasons. One, people need to eat. And it's a little difficult for people to focus on work or to focus on other things when they're hungry. So we believe that food is one of the most basic elements and basic needs that a society has. So in order for us to ensure that our communities can be in a position to thrive, they need the basic needs. Food is one of those basic needs.
Leaders also announced 10 food outreach events taking place next month. We're going to have much more on what the announcement today means for the community ahead as our coverage continues at 11 o'clock.
And now to Johnson County, where a pantry in Greenwood is helping people tonight stock their shelves every week. And thanks to them, hundreds of Indiana families have more food on their tables.
Ashton Hackman shares why the people behind this pantry are expecting longer lines after the first of the month.
At Mount Pleasant Church in Greenwood,
onion.
Nearly 400 families are making their pantry visits at the Impact Center. This Central Indiana ministry helping to put food on the table.
People are able to come and get the food that they need for themselves and for their family once a week.
But lines here could soon grow even longer. The ongoing government shutdown approaching its 30th day threatens to halt SNAP benefits as soon as Saturday.
The majority of our families will be affected.
600,000 Hoosiers rely on those SNAP benefits. Melissa Lawson is one of them.
People rely on that food stamps, and when they ain't got no food stamps, they ain't got really nobody to turn to. So that's why everybody turns to food pantries, and this food pantry is the main one that I go to.
Lawson says rising prices has made the need for food pantries like this even greater.
It's not the same as before, like when I first got them. You get a big cart full. Now it's not even a cart full. You only get like 3 or 4 bags full, and that's it.
But families here stock their pantries with not just food, but food they will use. Purchasing their items with points, healthier options have no price.
We want this to be a place where they can have that sense of community. They can have that sense of belonging.
Leaders here are now preparing for a possible influx of those in need.
We're just trying to anticipate and be as prepared as we can to handle any additional people or more families that may have that need.
A need to put food on the table and a pantry opening up its doors to Hoosiers. In Greenwood, Ashton Hackman, 13 News.
The Impact Center also operates 2 other pantries in Indianapolis, and there's no restriction on who can get help there. We have details on this story and a list of other resources as SNAP benefits are paused. That is set for this weekend. Just scan this QR code.
And it's not just SNAP benefits that could be impacted later this week by this government shutdown. The cost of health care could soon increase for millions of Americans if a deal in Washington is not reached.
Democratic leaders here in Indiana say nearly 400,000 Indiana residents could see their premiums double as open enrollment begins November 1st. State Senate Minority Leader Shelley Yoder says more needs to be done.
You shouldn't have to take a third job just to afford a checkup. You shouldn't have to choose between keeping your home or your health. The system that's supposed to be protecting people is stuck, and Hoosiers are the ones left holding the bag.
Yoder also said if a deal is not reached, a family of 4 could see their premium jump almost $3,000 a year.
ICE says it has now arrested 3,000 people here in Indiana and in the Chicago area.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem in Gary today, along with Indiana Governor Mike Braun, together talking about the partnership between ICE and Indiana State Police. Our State House reporter Emily Longnecker traveled to the northwestern part of the state and has the story. Emily.
Well, these arrests were all part of something that DHS calls Operation Midway Blitz. Many of them happened around the Chicago area, but more than 200 involved Indiana State Police working with ICE along Indiana's highways. At way stations across Indiana, state troopers with the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division oversee the semi-trucks that come through the crossroads of America. Now with a partnership between ISP and ICE giving trained state troopers immigration enforcement powers, Their work here includes making sure the drivers behind the wheels of these semi-trucks are in the U.S. lawfully.
And so many times these stops are happening at weigh stations along your freeways and highways, and then those individuals can do traffic enforcement and inspections and then carry out immigration enforcement as well.
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem was in Gary Thursday, joining Governor Braun along with the head of ICE and Indiana State Police to discuss the number of recent arrests through ISP and ICE working together. According to Noem, ISP and ICE have arrested more than 200 people that were here unlawfully. Close to 50 of them were behind the wheel of a semi. Noem cited fatal accidents in other states involving semi-truck drivers she said should not have had a commercial driver's license because they were here illegally.
Overwhelmingly, these individuals have come from sanctuary states such as California and Illinois and New York.
Last month, federal rules changed about who could have a CDL, tightening documentation requirements that included narrower visa categories, tougher verification requirements, and shorter expirations tied to immigration status. And Noem called Indiana's partnership with ICE a model for other states. Governor Braun said the program would be expanding with more state troopers in the Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division working at weigh stations like this one. Along I-65, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Sunny finish to our Thursday. Temperatures right now for most of us in the 50s, and check out the beautiful fall color. Country Club of Indianapolis 57. Took a while for us to get into the sunshine for the eastern part of the state, so as expected temperatures struggled. We're only at 48 degrees in Connorsville. Most of the area in the 50s this evening. Sunset 6:45. We'll have a few clouds overnight and tomorrow. High temperatures for our Friday in the upper 50s, and of course we have trick-or-treating tomorrow evening, expecting 50s through the early evening on Friday.
Tonight, an alleged serial flasher is pleading guilty to indecent exposure. Police arrested 27-year-old Cameron Greenwood back in July after a woman said that he pulled his pants down, exposing himself to her in a Family Dollar parking lot. So in this case, in an exchange for a plea, a charge of public nudity was dropped. Greenwood's July arrest came after days after he was released from the Marion County Jail in connection to a separate criminal case that was for criminal trespassing.
The nation's leader for agriculture was on stage today at the FFA National Convention, speaking to members from across the country.
Brandon Schaff joins us live to tell us about the visit to Indy and how kids learned about the future in the ag field. Hey, Brandon.
Yeah, good evening, Anne-Marie and Scott. It's a familiar sight around downtown and here at the Indiana Convention Center, those blue FFA jackets representing all these FFA members from around the country converging here in Indianapolis. In fact, the National FFA Convention here expected to welcome more than 71,000 people to Indy this week. And at Lucas Oil Stadium, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture and FFA alum Brooke Rollins was on the stage. Speaking to thousands of FFA members in the crowd, she says that SNAP funds, which many people rely on to feed their families, will not go out in November as this government shutdown continues. Well, she pushed for a vote to open the government, and she says that she'll fly to Washington, D.C. to do a press conference about this issue with Speaker of the House Mike Johnson. In the meantime, she explained that 42 million people will not get their food stamps.
I said October 10th. I said again October 24th. We do not have the funds to go into November with SNAP. We don't have the $9.2 billion. We've already bubble-gummed this deal. We've duct taped this deal. We've band-aided this deal. We've gotten a little bit out the door, but it ends on November 1st.
And in the expo hall, they had plenty of ways for all of these FFA members to learn about their agriculture careers. They could try those truck simulators, sit inside farm equipment, and even use VR headsets. And speaking with some of the FFA members here, some of them that I talked to were from Florida. They were here for the first time. They say it's one of the best conventions for youth with a love for agriculture, and they added that it is great for networking, introducing them to the potential employers here and giving them a future to look forward to. And the National FFA Convention continues tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and will wrap up on Saturday. Scott, Anne-Marie, back to you.
Brandon Schaff, downtown, thanks so much. Still to come on this Thursday night, a sudden health scare nearly ended this magician's decades-long career.
But now he's defying the odds. How he got back on stage.
And helping people experiencing homelessness.
The event supporting thousands of Hoosiers who now are in need.